Hello, Michael here with a video teaching you about converting recurring decimals to fractions. A recurring decimal is something like 0.3 recurring, which means 0.333 and so on. 0.45 recurring, which means 0.4545 and so on. And there's also the type 0.83 recurring. The 8 doesn't recur, but the 3 does. So that would be 0.83333 and so on. Now, all recurring decimals can be turned to fractions. And now I'm going to show you how. So let's start with one that you already know the answer to. Convert 0.3 recurring, of course that's 0.333 and so on, to a fraction. Well, here's the technique. We start off by writing x equals 0.3 recurring. And then I've got one digit that's recurring, so I'm going to multiply all that by 10 to the power of 1, which of course is 10. So I'm going to write that 10x equals 3.3 recurring. Now I'm going to call that equation 1, call that equation 2, and I'm going to subtract equation 1 from equation 2. So let's write that here. Equation 2, subtract equation 1. So 10x minus x, that gives me 9x. That's equal to 3.3 recurring minus 0.3 recurring, that gives me 3. Now dividing through by 9 to give me x by itself, so it's x equals 3 over 9. And of course that cancels down to 1 over 3, which gives you the result, of course, that you already know, that 0.3 recurring is 1/3. Okay, let's have a look at another example now. It converts 0.45 recurring to a fraction. And the basic technique is identical. So I'm going to write x equals 0.45 recurring. Now here I've got two digits that are recurring, so I'm going to multiply by 10 to the power of 2, which is of course 100. So 100x equals 45.45 recurring. Do you notice, by the way, how I lay this out to make my life quite easy? Right, let's call that equation 1, call that equation 2 as before, and it's the same idea. Equation 2 take away equation 1. So 100x take away x gives me 99x, and that's equal to 45.45 recurring. Take away 0.45 recurring, so that's 45. Now to get x by itself, divide by 99, so x equals 45 over 99. Now in this case, of course, you'll be able to see that we can cancel, because 9 goes into 45 and 9 goes into 99. So that's equal to 45 divided by 9 is 5, and 99 divided by 9 is 11, so that's equal to 5 over 11. Let's just check that on the calculator. So we've got, let's move the calculator over a little. So 5 divided by 11 equals, there it is, 0.45 recurring. So yeah, that's a nice one. Okay, now let's have a look at another one. No, that's going to come on to that one. This is the one. Okay, convert 0.83 recurring to a fraction, method 1. And it's identical to what we did before. So let's write it out. X equals 0.83 recurring. There's one digit that recurs, so we're going to multiply by 10. So 10x equals, notice how I write this down, 8.33 recurring. I've written it like that for a special reason, and it'll become clear in a moment. So call that equation 1, call that equation 2, and exactly the same as before, equation 2 take away equation 1, 10x take away x gives me 9x. Now then, these disappear of course, so what I'm finished with is 8.3 take away 0.8. Now do you see why I wrote it as 8.33 recurring? I didn't put the recurring there because that would make my life a little more difficult. So 8.3 take away 0.8 is 7.5. So x is 7.5 over 9. But of course I've got a problem here because that isn't a fraction, because that's a decimal fraction there. So I'm going to change that to 15 over 18, multiply top and bottom by 2 to get 15 over 18. Now I can cancel that down, so I see that 3 goes into both of them, so that's equal to 5 over 6. Okay, let's check that with a calculator. So 5 divided by 6 equals, and there it is, 0.83 recurring. So we've got that one right. Okay, now there's actually another way of doing this. So what I'm going to call, this is method 1. There's another method that relies on something else. So here we are, I'm going to do the same problem again, 0.83 recurring, but this time I'm going to use the result that 0.3 recurring is something I already know. It's 3 over 9, 1 over 3, isn't it? So let's see how this works. Again, I'm going to write that x equals 0.83 recurring. Now I want to change this so that I've got 0.3 recurring. So I've got to move the decimal point to there, so that means multiply by 10. So 10x equals 8.3 recurring. Now then, I can say, oh, well I know what the 0.3 recurring is, so that's equal to 8 and 1/3. Now that's a mixed number. I want it as a fraction, so I'm going to say that, okay, 8 and 1/3, convert it to thirds, is going to give me 25 over 3. Well, that's 10x, 25 over 3. So x is then equal to 25 over 30. You might need to convince yourself of that step. And of course that cancels down, divide through by 5, that gives me 5 over 6, which is exactly the same result as I had before. So we now know how to convert recurring decimals into fractions, and these are the things that you need to take away from this video. First of all, any recurring decimal can be written as a fraction. As many digits recur, multiply by 10 to the power of that number. So 1 digit, 10 to the 1, 2 digits, 10 to the 2. Set up the equations and subtract. And that's going to give you a fraction. You might need to simplify the fractions. And remember, of course, the learning is in the doing. So practice good practice. And part of good practice is laying things out carefully. So do it and have fun with it.